11, genuine interest. You must learn how to be genuinely interested in other people. This is probably a great strength that I've worked on for years and years and years, is truly being genuinely interested in other people's lives. This establishes trust very simply. Let me show you how that works out. Let's say that you meet somebody, or let's say that you've gotten a client in some whatever way that you've gotten this client. You wind up sending, here's a prime example. How many of you have ever bought a house before? All right. So in buying a house from somebody, how many of you could imagine if you had gotten a phone call from that realtor after the house had gotten closed and a gift? How would that make you feel? Make you feel great, okay? And let's say that 30 days later, you get another handwritten card saying, hey, I hope your house worked out for you. And by the way, how's Johnny doing in basketball? What does that make you feel like if somebody put the focus on you? Let's put it this way. How many of you have gotten realtor cards in the mail over and over again? What do you do with them? Throw them in the trash. Why? You know it was just pushed of a button out of a database. That's why. There's no personal content in that card. Not at all. But if they were wise, they would interview their prospect, find out what they're genuinely interested in, and any card that they wrote, they would say, by the way, how's your garden? What does that make you feel like? Man, that person really heard me. It makes them feel special. When you point out things about the kids, it makes them feel special. When you point out things about their recreation, it makes them feel special. It makes them feel like they were heard. Why? Because you did hear them, and you do count them to be special. When you honor people in that way, you will always have people honoring you in that way, okay? Next, you're not in sales, you're in business development. Change your title. If you think you're in sales, who here is in some kind of professional sales? Okay. If you're in sales, don't call yourself a salesman. Don't put sales on your business card. You put business development. There's a big difference between the two. Sales is instant gratification. Ha ha, I got your money. See you later. Business development is, I want you to be around for a very, very, very long time. Let me show you the difference of business development. I have a friend in here. They market, he markets siding and roofs. Okay, that's what they market. So with that, my point to him, even just yesterday, as I was coaching him yesterday, was this, that if you build a relationship with those clients that never bought or that did buy, and you keep in touch with them, and you're sending thank you cards of thank you so much for your time, and you're putting out the son's soccer game or the daughter's dance lessons or whatever, I hope your job is going great, something specific that is tied to them. When you do that, and then you send it again 3 months later, and then again 3 months later, what happens is that whether they bought a product from you, how many of you have a product or a service that is a one-time deal? It's not a repeat thing. It doesn't run out in 30 days, okay? More important even for you to keep in touch, because many of you think, well, it's only a one-shot deal. They only need it one time. It lasts for a lifetime, and therefore there isn't no reoccurring sales channel that'll come through there. Oh, this is where you are totally in the wrong. And here's why. Because when you cultivate that relationship with that person, now they are around an entire center of influence. If somebody gets a new roof, do people notice? Yes. Duh. Someone gets new siding or their house gets painted, do people notice? Yes. So what does that mean? That house is your what? Billboard. If you cultivate the relationship properly. If you don't cultivate the relationship properly, they'll never tell a soul of where they got it from. But if you cultivate that relationship properly, what will they do? They will tell other people, this is where I got it from, and I really like the guy, and you ought to give the guy a call. Do you see the difference? Yes. Okay, cool. So business development, don't think short term, you got to think long term. Okay, number what? 12? 13 is gems. 13 is gems. You're going to learn how to understand gems. It's a personality, what do you call that? Exercise. It's an exercise that you will go through. It's understanding there are 4 different types of gems. I call them gems because I believe each person has a great strength and ability and a genuine ability to shine, to grow, to flourish. There's great value in each one of these personalities as a gem. Some people use animals, like otters. I'm an otter. Great. Have fun with that. People in the past use, red, green, blue, and yellow. Yeah, have fun with that. I'm a blue. Okay, we use gems. There's great value in sapphires, pearls, emeralds, and rubies. For some reason, it was sticky when we let it out into the marketplace years and years ago. But I'm going to show you the 4 different types of gems. What motivates them? How do they communicate? What matters most to them? How can you recognize them just by sight and even by tone? Even by their profession. There's certain professions, certain gems that are attracted to certain professions. And you'll be able to see how they operate. When you know how people operate, it's so easy to communicate to them. And when you know what matters to them, it's so easy to give them what they want. But if you don't know, then you can't. Then there's the big wall of tension. But there are 4. Some people are motivated by fun. Other people are motivated by helping other people. Other people are motivated by analyzing things. Other people are motivated by a challenge. When you can recognize what that person is standing in front of you, what matters most to them, oh my gosh, you save so much time and blah, 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 and you hit it right. Instead of a shotgun approach, you're a sharpshooter. Okay, number 14, huge, be yourself. Be yourself. You know, one of the questions that came in from this seminar was, how do I get over the fact that I'm not attractive? And I feel like I won't succeed because I'm not attractive. Okay? Number 1, that's an excuse. And you're basing your future on looks. Looks have nothing to do with it. Looks have nothing to do with it. And I know you're looking at me going, yeah, it's easy for you to say that. Hey, I used to have a unibrow. I used to be 50 pounds heavier. I did not know how to dress a long time ago. Did I learn how? Mm-hmm. And some of you still hate it. I'm not here to impress you. Okay? Looks don't have anything to do with it. And this is why I told you the story of my uncle and my aunt. There was not looks that attracted here. Probably looks that attracted him to her. But definitely not the other way around. It wasn't that at all. It was how he cherished her. How he made her feel special. Let her talk. He honored her. It was through killer people skills that he cultivated that relationship with her. And same with everybody else that's in the family. I mean, come on, you're the second husband coming into an existing family. Come on, y'all know what that feels like. You're like the third wheel. No one wants to like you. Who are you? Especially you. He had to win everybody over to like him. How many of you know what I'm talking about? And he did it, not through looks, not through money, but by what? Honoring people, through people skills, all right? So be yourself. Don't try to be somebody else that you think you should be. Don't think that you're missing or lacking something that you don't have. The truth is, if you be you, it changes your body language completely. Do you hear me? But if you're unsure, remember, if you're trying to be someone else, that means you're unsure of yourself. Just pretend like you're sure of yourself. Another question. How many of you are confident at something? Okay. What is the something that you're confident at? Just give me an idea. Cooking, music, huh? Video production, hunting, running, driving. Let's use driving. Let's do driving as a prime example. How many of you can remember the first day you got behind the wheel? How many of you were not confident when you first got behind the wheel? Right. No way. Okay, but how many of you now, by autopilot, get to your office? You could have ran a stop sign and don't even know it. By complete autopilot, man, you drive around. Now, that is so dang scary. Some of you don't even know how you get to the place that you got. All you know is you got there. Now, isn't that interesting? But when you first got behind the wheel, what was it like? Okay, 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock. Either 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock. You don't have to be smart to make money, okay? All right. Gas, brake, clutch, first gear, mirrors, mirrors, mirrors. Okay, and you're going like this. Looking at the mirrors, looking at the mirrors, looking at the mirrors. Gas, you're herking and jerking. Don't go up a hill in a stick shift. You go in trouble. Slide back down. How many of you remember this? We're terrible at it, right? You were completely terrible at it. Now, let me prove something to you. That means that you can learn to do anything. You can operate that heavy machine that can go 100 miles an hour, dealing with all other kinds of drivers around you, that you, in a split second, bam, can get yourself in trouble and but you're not afraid to drive anymore. How many of you are not afraid to drive anymore? But you were in the beginning. Okay, same with on this row of the core report methodology. Now, let me ask you, does your personality determine how you drive? sorry, that wasn't the issue. Reap shy corn. No. How come a shy farmer does not reap shy corn? It's just what? Corn. Okay? There's a gorgeous, drop dead gorgeous man like my husband. If he was a farmer, man, he's fine. So cute and smart and intelligent. And he loves God and he's humble. I mean, I got the perfect person. He didn't start off that way, and neither did I. Anyway, I used to hate him. There was nothing attractive about him about 14 years ago. Anyway, so if my fine specimen of a husband went to plant some corn, would that corn be fine specimen of corn? No! Do you understand? Has nothing to do with your looks. Now, if you want to be a Vogue model, maybe. But then again, not. Have you seen some of those pictures? Like what? What was beautiful 10 years ago is not today. And what is beautiful today won't be beautiful 10 years from now. Do you hear what I'm saying? It has nothing to do with it. Get over yourself. You are not the issue when it comes to people. It doesn't matter what you look like, the size of your backside, doesn't matter the size of the front side, doesn't matter how many wrinkles you got, what's sagging and bagging. It don't matter. It doesn't make a difference at all. Trust me. All that matters is that you be you. And if you be you, you're the only one that can be you, and you're the best at being you. No one else can be you but you. So when you're being you, you're comfortable with you. If you're comfortable with you, so is the person you're talking to. But if you're trying to be somebody else, you'd start doing these quirky things. You start having these nervous twitches. When you do things like that, people are like, whoa, ooh, who is that? Okay. Next, number 15, follow up. This is huge. Follow up is huge. Follow up is huge. Write this down. The fortune is in the follow up. Now watch. I was thinking about a profession that could challenge me, and it would be a volunteer who volunteers their time to save animals could challenge me about what I just did. But I'm going to show you how it does work, and let me show you. Remember I said earlier that I have an aunt that she rescues animals and finds home for the animals? Well, check this out. If you understand that everything you do is sales, watch, this last technique is hugely important. Number one, the approach even with trying to give an animal away. How many of you know sometimes you can't give them away? Sometimes they're ugly. Right? Sometimes you can't give them away. Nobody wants the black cats. Right? But I will tell you that if through trust you made people feel comfortable, it's not about the cat. It's not about the product. It's not about the service. It's about the person. And when you find out what's in the person as to what would make them want these items, then you give it to them. Now, here's where the fortune's in the follow-up. If you were to follow up with the person that you gave this product, this service, or this idea to, and you follow up with that individual and you ask them, how's it going? Is everything okay? Hey, by the way, how are the children? How's this? How's that? Is everything going okay? How was your day with your boss? By the way, you said something about your back was hurting you. How does that make that person feel? Amazing and special. When you make them feel special, they will recommend you. The fortune is in the follow-up. Even if they did not purchase from you, even if you still made a good connection by using this core rapport methodology, you made a great connection with that person, they're still going to recommend you even if they did not do business with you directly. Do you understand? Fortune's in the follow-up. What kind of follow-up can you do? Thank you cards are great. They take just a few minutes. You know what I do? I send a thank you card as soon as I'm done with the activity. For example, I sometimes get the opportunity to consult people one-on-one only because of a time factor. We have a long list of people that are in line for it, but it's a time factor. Every time I finish a call, I write out a thank you card. And I say, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much. I believe in what it is that you're doing, and I'll be praying for you. By the way, I hope your son's soccer game went great. That's the thank you card. It's sent that same day. I can't tell you the importance of doing things like that. Number one, whatever you hand out, hello, will come back to you. Whatever you hand out will come back. Okay? Here's another example. If you ever get an opportunity to where somebody really has given you a great opportunity, I'm gonna give this example, and it's very, very important that you hear this out. When you don't send a thank you card, it also sends a message. If somebody did business with you, when you don't send a card, it sends another message. So recently I had an example. I have a firsthand example of this. Recently had an opportunity to walk through a huge door, and a company took a big risk on me by televising my face and my story on their TV show. And they have millions upon millions upon millions upon millions of viewers from all over the world, which means their reputation was on the line, and they were willing to put their reputation on the line for me to be on that show. That's the way I see it. Now, if I sent flowers, is what I sent. There was one particular woman that owns the company. I know she likes pink. So I sent pink flowers. And this is what I had to share with somebody in my office. I said, listen, because it didn't get done right away. And I said, listen, let me tell you what I would be thinking if I did not receive a thank you from that individual. This is what I'd be thinking. That if I took a risk on you, and I risked my company for you, and you said nothing about it, what does that say about you? Ungrateful. That's exactly what it says. It says ungrateful, or on the other coin, guess what it says? Full of pride. It says full of pride. So it's either what you say by not saying thank you is, I'm ungrateful, or you were lucky to have me on your show. That's what it says. Those are the only two things it says. It says, I don't care that you gave me the chance, or you were lucky to have me. Would you ever give that person the opportunity again? No. Do you hear what I'm saying? If somebody gives you a stage or a platform, somebody gives you a chance, somebody purchases something from you, and you do not take a moment to say thank you in a card or in a gift, what you're telling them is that you don't value them, you're ungrateful and full of pride. But when you do follow up, guess what it says? Makes them feel good no matter what. Makes them feel good. Not only makes them feel good about them, but what else does it do? Makes them feel good about you. Do you hear me? Makes them feel good about you. Does not give any room to a liar that would say ungrateful, snobby, pride-filled brat. Because I'm telling you right now, what you do and what you don't do has an effect. How many of you have clients that you've never sent thank you cards to? Who's going to send them now? Let's say that you hire somebody to do something. How many of you have ever done something like that? Fix a bathroom, whatever. Now, in your mind, you're thinking, well, they should be sending me a thank you card, right? They should be asking me if they enjoyed the service, right? But I'm going to flip it on you. What if you extended an additional call saying thank you to them? What does that do? Remember I said find out what everybody else does and do the exact opposite? People are so busy using other people for their own personal gain that they're not thinking about what's best for other people. And so if I thank my plumber again and then again, he now is more interested in me than he is all the other plumbing clients that he has. He wants to know what else he can do to help me. In fact, he wants to know what he could do and not charge me. Why? Because I made him feel what? Special. You know how many times I've had people say to me, I've never had anyone thank me before for doing that. I should be thanking you, Danny. Do you know how many times that has happened? Ridiculous amount of times. Because again, we are such of a usury culture of getting what we want and when we want it, and we want it when? Now, that we have stepped out of gratefulness and into pride. And so if somebody's done something for you, even if you paid them to do it, when you extend a card or a thank you, now they have something special feeling about you and themselves. Here's a prime example. What I just demonstrated to you, Issa, the musician, she played live music here this morning. You'll hear her tonight. Issa used these techniques yesterday. She befriended the cooks in the back. And she formed the chef. Formed the chef Spoke to him in his native tongue. She speaks Spanish. Her bloodline is from Puerto Rico. So Isa formed the cook. Now check this out. Last night she's ordering. He calls back and he says, "Is this Isa?" And she says, "Yes, it is." He said, "Listen, did you just order a hamburger?" And she says, "Yes, I did." He goes, "It's on its way up, but don't eat it. I have something special I've prepared for you at no charge." Why? She befriended the guy. She smiled. She made the product. And you cooks, you need to buy them because they're so good. Glad y'all can meet me. Anyone want an autograph? But that's... They're back there laughing. But that's what people do. That's what you do when you lead with your product or your service or your idea. Do you hear me? I know, Isa's back there laughing. Okay, but that isn't what she did. But what she did instead was she honored them. She honored them. She got to know them. She smiled. She made them her product. She formed the guy. She acted like a friend to them. And they are compelled to want to bless her back because it blessed them. Do you understand? Do you know what he sent her? Angel hair pasta with like 10 big old prawns on this thing. No charge. Do you understand? And said to her, "You need anything at any time and I will give it to you." They were Mexican. She's black. Oh, that must have been what it was. No. Because that beautiful black chick could have walked behind there and did what? Not talked to a soul, not smiled, and acted arrogant. She could have done that. Would that have gotten the free shrimp? No. Now, check this out. But did she do it to get the free shrimp? No. She did it for what? To bless them, to honor them, to impact them. Because how many people walk through here, and I've also trained myself in this, is that any time a driver picks us up from anywhere, any place that we're going, a taxi driver, whatever kind of a driver, we are not going to talk business and act like they don't exist. Don't talk to me about what we're about to do when someone else is sitting there. Because I will not be like the rest of the stupid CEOs with their heads in the wrong place. "Oh, I'm so important and that taxi driver's below me." Nonsense. I didn't get to where I'm at by hanging out with the big people. I got to where I'm at hanging out with the little people. Why? Because I'm a little person. You honor people right where they're at, and you're going to have people honoring you and wanting to help you. That's my point. My girlfriend, Jerry, just heard this story. One of my close friends, been friends for like 17 years, whatever. Jerry, her father recently died. Months later, because the impact that Jerry made through the core rapport methodology that I just gave you, through the impact that she made on the person that helped with this funeral. Mind you, her father was a homeless man, was for years, lost contact with him for over 10 years. She then finds him. He dies a few years later. The social worker, come on, hear me. The social worker. How many of you found some social workers not to be all that friendly? And not building relationship, more clinical and detached. Jerry made such an impact through that core rapport methodology. How many months, Jerry? 6 months? 11 months later, Jerry gets a phone call. 11 months later, gets a phone call from the woman, and she says, "You know, we found your father's Bible that he carried around with him everywhere he went." She had no idea that he had a Bible, nor he read it, no idea whether or not he knew God. And somebody was about to throw it away, but I just remembered how precious you were, and I wanted to call you. And I had to search around for your phone number, but I have it. Would you like it? Not only that, that's not all of it. We also had found a series of checks that had been coming to the wrong place, and you're his next of kin. We would like to send them to you. How much money, Jerry? Almost $10,000. Why? Because of the impact through that core rapport methodology, because she honored. Did Jerry have any idea that person, did she manipulate the situation so the woman would call her 11 months later? No. But because she used the core rapport methodology, her product was the person that was in front of her. She smiled. She befriended them. She formed them. She had the body language and the tone of someone that was genuinely interested in them. She established trust through listening and complimenting and encouraging. And because she did these things with somebody that would never in her mind ever benefit her, what came back to her? $10,000 and something far more precious than money, her father's Bible. Do you hear what I'm saying? Yes. Last and final point with the core rapport methodology, and this is probably the biggest one. This one has nothing to do so much with words, has everything to do with actions, and it is a law that we live by. It is under promise, over deliver. Under promise, over deliver. Remember I said to you that everybody in this room is in sales? And do you remember that I said to you that that even an engineer, even though he doesn't deal with a lot of people directly, that he's still in sales? I'm going to prove it to you right now. You all, how many of you work for somebody else? Raise your hands. All of you are in sales. No matter what it is that your tasks are every day, every one of you are in sales. If you work for somebody else, you're in sales. Now how many of you want to know how to get a raise in that job? What's wrong with you people? Uh-oh. Let's add that to the excuse list. Union has nothing to do with it. Because there's other people getting raises, there's other people moving up, there's other people getting promoted. Don't you dare let some bondage called union, called excuse, stop you from succeeding. Don't limit yourself with your eyes see. You walk by faith, not by sight. So hear me. Under promise and over deliver. How many of you want to know how to get a raise in your jobs? How many of you would like to be the person that your boss talks the most about? How many of you want to be the most recommended person that your boss recommends? When it comes around to bonus time, how many of you want the biggest one? Three times. So hear me out. Here's how. I don't care what you do. There's a law of promotion. We're not going to go all into that law right now, but one of them is under promise, over deliver. What does that mean? Do not tell your boss what you think they want to hear. Show them. Show them what you can do. When you say, I can do that, I can do all 10 of those things by tomorrow at noon, and then you show up with 3, you have now violated trust with your boss. Are you hearing me? You violate trust with your boss when you say, I'll do 10 and only produce 3. It occurred to you. Do you remember what I said? Do you remember what I just said? That when you don't, what does it say to the head? It says, I'm ungrateful or what? I'm full of pride. That's what it says. I'm full of pride or I'm ungrateful. Guess what God does not promote? He will not promote an ungrateful heart, and he will not promote a heart full of pride. You won't get promoted with those two things. And your actions speak louder than what? Than your words. So I'm helping you on 2 folds right now. How many of you are an employer? Okay. As an employer or an employee, it works the same for both. We've made a decision in our company on how we promote is based straight on the Bible. We're not going to go against the way God promotes. We will only go with the way he does promote. And so who gets promoted, whether you're self-employed and you're only responsible for yourself, or you've got employees that you're responsible for, or you are an employee, okay? The place in which you are in, whether you, it doesn't matter, whatever it is that you do. Number 1 is to establish trust with those that you work with. How do you honor your coworkers and your competition within your own office? Hello? If your heart is to compete against them and to make them look bad so you look good, guess what? That does not get a promotion. Did you hear me? That kind of activity does not get a promotion. It doesn't get a promotion in the business world either. It might get a couple little results instantaneously, but guess what? Poof, and they're gone. It doesn't last. That is built on quicksand. That is not built on a solid foundation. Honor builds a solid foundation. So if you are not encouraging those that are around you, including your boss, when was the last time you encouraged your boss? How many of you want to stand out above the crowd? Remember I said earlier, want to find out what everybody else is doing, and now some of you may say, well, Danny, that is kissing up. No, it ain't. It's kissing up if you're doing it to manipulate. But if you're doing it to live by the principle of promotion, if you're doing it to live by the principle of promotion, which means I'm going to honor, think about this. If you haven't honored your boss that way, there's a good chance no one else has honored your boss that way, and that person thinks everyone hates him. Adds to the stress of his life. Let me tell you what stress get the biggest bonuses in our office. Those that cause stress get the smallest. No joke, and sometimes none. No joke. So, how to get a raise? You might want to go back and honor your boss and try to encourage your boss. Sow life into them. And ask, is there anything I can do to help you? Under promise, over deliver. If you're going to promise to do 10 things, then you better do the 10 things. My suggestion is you don't promise 10 things. Promise 5. Promise 5, do 10. Now you're a shining hero. But if you promise 10 and you deliver 10, you just delivered on your word. But if you promise 5 and you deliver 10, man, you are shining, and you're shining big time. Here's something else. Don't overcommit yourself to things that you cannot do. Don't set yourself up for failure. This really goes a lot for sales as well. Because remember I said if you're an employee, you're in sales. And your actions, your results that you produce, my friends, determine the promotion. But if you make a commitment higher than what you can deliver, now you look like you are undependable. Undependability does not get promoted, but dependability does. And so if you can build a relationship with those that are your heads, and you say, listen, I would love to promise you a lot more, but I know that I can deliver these 3 things on your desk tomorrow, and I promise you they'll be to your satisfaction. And when you deliver 4, those things get logged in. More importantly, guess who sees it? Your God. Your God sees it. Those are his laws of promotion. You follow those laws, you get what? Promoted. But you don't know my boss, he's a jerk. Really? How did he get that way? How did he get that way? Probably has a bunch of jerks working for him who are ungrateful and full of pride and picking out all his bad parts. Do you hear what I'm saying? Under promise, over deliver. Under promise, over deliver to your spouse. You know, Hans and I had a great conversation about 14 years ago, and it was Jack and Levon who were here. They were our coaches for our marriage. And Hans walked in the door, actually it was January 1996. Hans came in and he sat me down and he got coaching from Jack on what to say to me, because I was the high expectation girl and he was constantly set up for failure. Constantly set up for failure. Because I believed in what he could do, he did not believe in what he could do. I saw the potential, he didn't see the potential. So to him, his bar was so high to try to impress me that it wasn't even worth trying. So what he did is he sat me down. He said, I'm going to tell you what I can do, and I'm going to tell you what I'm not going to do. That was the most freeing conversation that we had had up to that point. When he says, I am going to do X, Y, Z, but I am not going to do A through M. And I went, awesome, killer, thanks, right on. And we moved on and tripled our income. Our communication started that day because I no longer was being promised or expecting this and having him do this and him feeling like a failure and me being ticked off about it and it violating trust. How many of you have overpromised and underdelivered? The easiest way is to see, look, you know what that is all about? That's about ego. It's all about ego. You're wanting to look good before your fellow man. Be honest, be yourself. Deliver on what you say you can do. If you can't do it in the time allotted to do it, then don't promise it. Promise less. And then go the extra mile. And now that stands out for a big fatty bonus. Here's the second thing I'm going to tell you on how to become set apart from everybody else that works inside of your organization. People hate to manage other people. They hate it. They hate it. They hate babysitting people. What do I mean by that? They're like, no, I love being a manager. No. Hear me out. I will tell you that heads of corporations can't stand it. It drives us crazy to manage. How many of you do not like to be micromanaged? Raise your hands. Wow. How many of you can't stand it? Can I tell you the root of why you're being micromanaged? Because you overpromised and underdelivered. You teach your boss, you teach your management how to manage you by what you get done and what you don't get done and how it gets done and the timely fashion it gets done. And we tell this to our team. We've told this to every staff that we've ever had, no matter which corporation that we've ran. That whenever I've hired somebody, whenever Hans has, we say, you're going to teach me how to manage you. My goal with you is that I don't ever have to manage you. My goal with you is to have you get promoted straight up to an executive position. That's my goal with you. Because the more that you can do and handle, the more you know how to do, the more skill sets you have, you don't even have to talk to me. You're going to be able to run an entire division without me. And we have a vision of growing this thing like crazy. But if you tell me that you're going to do 10 things and you do 3, that tells me that I have to manage you. But if you tell me 3, you deliver 3, then I know I don't have to manage you. Now, when you deliver 3, and every time you deliver that, then I know I can trust him and he's going to get it done. Here's the second thing. Let's say that there's a long project that you're having to work on. How many of you in your jobs or in your careers, you have to work on some kind of projects, or it takes a while to accumulate the sales that you need or to get something done? Okay, you want to shine to your boss? Report to him, give him updates every few days. Give him updates every few days. What does that mean? It's building trust with your boss. It's building trust with that person. When they have to, and it drives me nuts, when they have to come to you and ask you, how's that thing going? How's Project A happening? Can I get an update on that? Oh my gosh, it drives them crazy to have to ask that question. The fact that they had to wonder, and I'll promise you, they probably had a dream about it, which interrupted their sleep. They're not happy about that. But when you go to them and you say, hey, here's the deal. Here's the project you gave me 3 days ago. I've already done 1 and 3. 2 is kind of in limbo right now, but I got several phone calls to figure out how to get that done. That is in process. I should be able to deliver this thing on your desk next week. What does that do for that person that's over you? Yes, I don't have to wonder or worry if it's getting done. Versus showing up a week and a half later on the due date and saying something like this. Well, I tried, but I came up empty-handed because, so-and-so never called me back. Come on, how many of you have gone to your superior and said something like that? I tried, but no one called me back. Liars. Be honest. That's an excuse, number one. It means that there was not enough diligence there. But if you sent an email or a message, you went to them and said, hey, listen, this is where I'm at. I've got 1 and 3 done. Number 2 is still in limbo. I am chasing the guy down. He's not calling back, but I'm doing everything I can to get in touch with him. I'll let you know what happens in a couple days. Now, you're not the victim. You are offense instead of defense. A couple days goes by, you're still not getting a hold of me. You know what, boss? Can you help me out? I have left 17 messages. I'm still waiting on this. Is there another way I should go about doing this? Is there another way? Do you have another suggestion? Have you ever dealt with this? I'm sure you've dealt with this before. Do you have any suggestions for me on how I could do this better? Ego and bank account. You see, ego says, don't let them see you weak. Don't ask for help. Makes the bank account diminish. But when you humble yourself and you give them a report and you're saying, you know what, I'm hitting a brick wall. Is there any way you can help me? Yeah, why don't you try XYZ? Done. I'll let you know what happens tomorrow. You've done nothing but become their right-hand man. Is this helping it? You guys are like stunned right now. You're like, how come somebody didn't tell me this 25 years ago? Is this helping anybody? It's huge. Major nugget. This is way helping Carmen. This is why she has her office here. So there's some presidents here in the room of companies that are like, yes! Keep going, keep going, keep going. Okay? It makes everybody work better. All right? Many of you have the belief that your boss just wants to make money on you. And that's a lie. It's a lie. I promise you that's a belief that was passed down from somebody else. And if you look at your boss that way, you're not willing to give it your best. If you're not willing to work with the spirit of excellence and give it your best, guess what? You'll never get promoted. Did you hear me? You'll never get promoted. So, is this helping you? Core report methodology number 16 was under promise, over deliver. Under promise, over deliver. You hit a brick wall, ask for help immediately. Go do the activity. Here you go. And you might even show up with it a day early. Anytime you can do that, it's major kudos. Are you hearing me? Okay, cool. So how many of you don't like